We see an enormous monster who was the demon lord, and a girl standing at the side of the one who defeated that monster. The guy was only wearing shorts and a mask on his face. After he killed the monster, the sky got clearer and brighter. The princess standing at the back is cheering up for him, and saying that finally the demon lord is defeated. But just then, the guy did something completely unexpected. He looked at her with a mean look and landed a massive kick on her face, saying that even you can go to hell and that you are the real menace to the world. Just after that, we came to know that the guy was playing some VR game, and he was screaming in joy that he finally got his revenge after everything that the princess had put him through. Then, the narrator tells us that, in an age where VR games have become the norm, there are some who joyfully seek them out and are considered freaks. The boy here is Rakuro Hizutome. He is in high school and famously known as a trash game hunter. We then see the Rakuro's home. There was a beautiful butterfly collection that belonged to his mom, and he told her that one of those butterflies had escaped. And then he went to his school. He looked tired from playing the whole time. We also see a girl named Rei trying to approach Rakuro. She was trying to figure out how she could start a conversation with him. But before Rei could talk to Rakuro, his friend came in between and started a conversation with him. The time skips to evening, and we see a gaming shop owned by Lady Mana Iwamaki. She welcomed Rei into her shop and told her that Rakuro wouldn't come here for some time. She tells her that she is just here to see games, and she gets a bit embarrassed. Mana says to her that you are a lucky girl to be young and in love. She then tells her that Rakuro is trying to crack some extraordinary trash game, so he hasn't been here for a while. And she tells him that it's the latest one called Feria Kronkseal. And just then, Rakuro comes to the shop and Rei vanishes. She asks Rakuro, "Did you beat Feria Chronicle?" And he replies, "Of course I took that annoying witch down, and that game was a spectacular pile of garbage, and the biggest pile of garbage was that female lead." She makes the situation worse for him, and gets villagers and party members killed, and she always finds a way to blame it all on the last boss. The same thing used to happen when they went somewhere. If he gave her even the tiniest little shove to vent her annoyance, she used to get mad and refuse to move the story along. But in the last 3 minutes after beating the last boss, he could finally beat the crap out of Feria without any fear. It's ironic that the more Feria annoys you, the more determined you become to experience those 3 minutes of heaven. We also see that for the whole time, Rei has been staring at him from behind the shelves. Mana suggests to Rakuro, "Why don't you step out of those trash games and play a top-tier game with over 30 million players for once?" It can be fun to try things designed for mass appeal. Rakuro agrees to play that game called Shangri-La Frontier. He comes back to his home and finds out some information about the game. He comes to know that the game went on the market last spring. The concept of the game was that a colony fleet came from space and developed a high society just before they all died. But after 1,000 years, the people live their lives with roughly moderate tech levels, and the setup for that game allows the inclusion of sci-fi elements. He log into the game and see the Tower of Utopia entertainment software, founded by the programmer Tsukuyo. Tsukuri, who is a genius in the field of technology, Rakuro wears his headset and enters the game. He first starts by choosing the job for his character. He picks up the Twin Blade Mercenary, and afterwards he chooses the Origin. He thinks that the Wanderer builds defense slowly, but gets bonuses for luck. So he chooses that option and then continues to design his character. He gets amazed. And then finally he designs a costume for his character. He was wearing blue shorts and a unique bird mask. The narrator explains that the Rakuro playstyle is to avoid the armor to get the best weapons possible, as they are quite costly of course, and he cannot afford everything. And as his character is just wearing shorts, he wanted to cover his face with the mask, and the only mask he could afford was that strange blue-colored bird mask. He enters his character name, Sunraku. He finished all the setup and finally entered the game. As soon as he gets into the game, he finds himself in the forest. He gets pretty amazed that he can move his body so freely that it almost feels real. He runs towards the tree and climbs it to the top. He says that it's so huge and amazing that to compare it with Faeria or other trashy games actually feels like an insult to it. Rakuro opens the map to look where exactly he is, and thinks that games like this usually start with tutorials for beginners, but he doesn't realize that he has chosen Wanderer as an origin. He tries to figure out the direction for the starting town, Firstia. He comes down from the canopy and moves forward while checking his strengths and points, and he comes to know that he is at low defense. Suddenly he gets attacked by the goblin, and a fight breaks out. He pulled out his twin blade and got into a fighting position, then the zombie started running towards him and tried to land an attack. However, Rakuro's character smashes that goblin with just a single blow. His level goes up from 1 to 2, and he gets the goblin's hand axe. However, its durability was already down to half. Just after that, he again encounters an enemy. He looks at him with a fierce look and is ready to fight him. The bunny attacks him, but he dodges it and realizes that he is much more powerful than the previous one. The bunny again tries to attack him, and Rakuro blocks it with his twin blade. He hits the bunny once, but it takes much more to kill him. The bunny goes for his neck, but he predicts it and gives him another blow and says, "That's all you have got, God tier game." His level gets increased to 4, and he learns a new skill, which is the flash counter. He realized that he could learn new skills by defeating more and more enemies. He thinks that the weapon he is carrying isn't enough to tackle enemies of higher range, and he gets the sudden realization that he's been playing this whole game without even a single bug. That's why this game is actually called a God tier game. He looks all excited for the game. He faces another enemy who looks a little grumpy and ends him with a single blow. He again gets leveled up to 2. He allocated his stats and wished that he could have gotten that bunny's knife, but thought that it was a rare enemy, so it would take him forever to obtain it. His playtime starts, and he analyzes all of his equipment and the new skills he has learned so far. He decides to move forward and opens up the map. He examines the pathway to his destination. Rakuro continues his journey to Firstia and encounters a giant snake in front of him. He examines his character as if he were the real deal. He pulls out his twin blade and runs towards him with full power. And finally, he finishes up that stage